Um, Obviously, we'll take a 21-point victory over a team that's picked by their coaches to win their league and have the preseason player of the year, and to win by 21 on 1 day's rest after a physical game on Friday night. We feel really good about that. What we won't feel good about is our execution could have been better on both ends of the floor, and I'm happy that we got the win, but certainly don't want to be satisfied with the execution that we had, and we won't be as we prepare to play later in our season.
Dan, I asked the ladies this earlier. 3 games, maybe 3 different games in some respects. Just to have 3 different ways of winning with this group, a lot of newness. What does that say about your team at this stage?
Well, I think newness is the word. We have a lot of people that haven't played together with one another, and we've played a couple of opponents that have played differently from one another. We knew that Brown was going to play a zone where their center never left the half circle, and they mixed it up a little bit with how they had their 2 top guards. That was different than what they had done in the past. We had prepared to play Manhattan with them playing zone against us. That's all they've played this year, and so they came out and they played man-to-man and they switched everything, and so that took a little bit for us to figure out. We've got to find more post touches, and we've got to find, more than anything, we've got to find more dribble penetration and the ball sticking on our hands a little bit. The newness of our players indicates that. It's, I think, one reason why the ball is sticking. We're not don't have that flow yet, and to score 67 and then I think we had 70 some in the previous game on Friday. To not be in the flow and score like that tells you about the offensive firepower that we have. It's just we've got to clean up a few things.
When you have, at this stage, with again so much newness, only a day between games, just how much of it's just mental recovery, but also them at least understanding what Manhattan does and being able to execute within principles?
It comes down to our execution, and we had a good scout, and I felt like Coach Bell and our staff and Vanessa and Cherie and Frank put our kids in a position to do what we did today, which was to win. But I'm greedy. Like I want us to be near perfect, if not perfect. And when you have 15 turnovers, that's not good enough for me. We only had 3 offensive rebounds in the second half, and we could say, well, that's because we shot 50% and we shot 37%. But I think we can do better than that, and I have incredibly high expectations for this team, and so I'm not going to be satisfied. And I know that our players that are in that locker room are not satisfied either. But we're happy to get the win, especially against an opponent that has been picked so highly in their league. But we're back to the lab on Tuesday.
When you have a player as dominant as what Dee Davis has shown the capabilities of doing, how good is it maybe to see that, or have a player that has the ability to kind of stir the drink a little bit and kind of face that in real time?
She took 29 shots. She didn't take half of their shots, but it was pretty darn close. And for a while there, you didn't think that she was going to miss. Her mid-range game is outstanding, and she's an explosive, quick jumping jack, fast twitch athlete. And I was as impressed with her rebounding as I was her scoring, actually. She's a good player, and I'm glad that we got her into 6 turnovers. At one point, I think she had 15 of their 15 points, and I went into the huddle and I said, guys, I've never seen this in 25 years of Division I basketball, where one player has all 15 in the midpoint of the second quarter. I don't think I've ever seen that. It's a good player. It's a good player, and a nice kid too. I had an opportunity to talk to her yesterday. We were getting off the floor and they were coming on the floor, and she introduced herself. And nice, sharp young woman, very professional, and nice kid.
When you look at making corrections from Yanni, obviously game one was a good game for her. Just was it assertiveness, position, awareness of where she was on the floor that maybe led to more of a closer to a complete effort today, Dan?
Well, Yanni had 15 and 7, and she was 6-11 for the field, so she's over 50% from the field, and I'm not trying to give her any sort of pressure, but I think she's a kid that can do this every single night, and even more. I think she's that talented. I think she's a great basketball player, and to me that was almost a quiet 15 and 7. There was one little stretch where she went off, maybe 2 buckets in a row, 3 out of 4 buckets. But I think we're going to see bigger and bigger things from her as we get further along into the year, and our offense gets a little bit more comfortable, and we get a little bit more dribble penetration, and the ball doesn't stick so much in our hands.
The statistics won't show it, Dan, but how did you like, as a freshman, Riley's effort, especially when Meg had those 3 fouls and there needed to be a little bit of that steadiness on the court from that position?
Riley's in a tough spot because she's going to play sometimes when she's not as warm as she needs to be, and she's got her head on a swivel. She's learning a whole lot. She's a true freshman, and she's our only true freshman. And so, there's not many times that true freshmen play in the Duquesne basketball program. And I have a lot of faith in Riley. She played 12 minutes tonight, and I didn't think it was her best performance. She got beat off the dribble. She missed an assignment or two. The pass to PJ that got stolen is not a pass that is usually intercepted. That's usually a pass that she makes. Riley, I have complete faith in. So when I put Riley Sunday in the game, I know good things will happen, and that's just not on offense, but that's also on defense. She's a good player.
You touched on it a little bit already, but Manhattan was ranked 2nd in the preseason polls for the MAC conference, and currently they're winless, while the Dukes were ranked 9th in the A10, and they're currently undefeated. With that, sorry.
That's okay. You need some water?
No, I'm fine. With that in mind, do you pay attention to the polls at all, or how much truth do you think are in the preseason polls?
I only look at the polls when we beat an opponent who's been picked high so it can prop us up. I could care less about the polls. They mean absolutely nothing. It's for fans, and it's for sports writers, and it's for sports information directors to do whatever they want with it, but it literally means nothing. And that's whether we were picked 9th or we were picked 1st. But if it can prop us up after a win, I'm going to use that.
Scouting Dee Davis and sort of knowing what she's capable of, what was sort of the game plan going into today's game with her in mind?
You want to challenge every shot. You knew that she was going to take a high volume of shots. She's done that throughout her career, but in particular this year and last year. She's going to take the vast majority of their shots on their team. So you want to get a hand in her face and contest everything. The one thing that we could have done better was actually with number 0, the Dodson kid, is to get in and help more and keep 2 feet in the lane and force her to make an outside shot, and then muck up the middle so Dee doesn't have any room to operate in the lane. And we did that more in the 3rd and the 4th. But early on, she made some tough shots over Meg McConnell, who's a heck of a defender. And so credit goes to Dee. She did a nice job. She's a good player.
How important is it to start off strong like you have, winning your first 3 games? We want to win every game, and the one thing that I'm sorry, that's one of our former head managers right there that's looking through the mirror. I apologize, through the window. She's a good friend. We've had a lot of alums back this weekend, and it's so good to see. I'm sorry. Can you give me the question real quick again? I apologize. How important is it to start off strong at the beginning of the season, winning your first 3 games?
Our feet are really where they are, and our focus was just today on each opponent. Each day has been on that opponent, and Zach will tell you that my mantra is always we're going to celebrate to midnight, or we're going to drown our sorrows to midnight, and then we forget about it and we move forward. And we'll do that tonight. We're going to go and have some dinner with the fam, and I'm sure all the kids are going to do that. And then tomorrow's mandatory recovery, and then we have to prepare to play another game.
How nice is it to see Lauren back on the court and healthy after a serious injury last year, and what do you think that she brings to this team?
Lauren's a gym rat. There's probably she's probably the kid that's in the gym the most on our team, and that's saying something, because we have a group of kids that spend a lot of time. They enjoy being in the gym. You don't have to hound them to get in the gym. If anything, you have to tell them to put the ball down for a day, and that's actually the case for tomorrow. Like, take care of your academics, get your recovery in tomorrow, and you can worry about shooting on Tuesday and back to practice on Tuesday. With that being said, she was 3 for 8 from the field, 2 for 6 from the 3-point line, and had 6 rebounds and 9 points. That's a pretty good day in 21 minutes. Defended pretty well. Her best basketball is ahead of her. I can nitpick a few things, but the knee injury that she came off of, and then she had followed that up with an ankle injury that complicated things. She's really just, in my eyes, in the last week to 10 days, really kind of gained that pop, that little bit of athleticism that she has back. And she's not moving stiffly, she's moving a lot more fluidly. So that's really good for her and for our team as we move forward.
In the second quarter, the Dukes struggled shooting from behind the arc, going 0 for 6. Do you think that's one of the reasons why Manhattan was sort of able to creep back into the game?
Obviously. We had some good looks at the basket, and they didn't go in. And when you're playing the way that we're playing, which is emphasizing shooting threes and taking some long threes, you're going to have situations like that. Where I was a little bit disappointed is we didn't come up with any of the offensive rebounds off of those 6. And that's something that we have to do. We have to offensive rebound better. We have to look at, we were 7 for 25 from the 3-point line tonight. We could have certainly shot it better, only 28%. So we had 18 opportunities to rebound that. And for the guys who aren't shooting those threes, they've got to look at that as a pass, and they've got to attack the offensive glass, and we've got to come up with some more offensive rebounds.
Megan McConnell got into some foul trouble in the first half. Do you think that the team plays differently when she has to play a little bit more conservatively because of fouls?
She doesn't play conservatively. Meg McConnell doesn't know how to play conservatively, and that's why we had to take her out of the game. And I say that Meg knows how to play. She's a high-level player with a very high basketball IQ, but it's innate in her that she's going to have that aggressiveness and that tenacity, that she's going to be an irritant in a sense to the opponent. And so, we do become a little bit of a different team because she is, such a good defender, and she leads us. She's someone that is very important to our team.
Going back to the Brown game, could you just talk about Meg's performance in that, notching her first career triple-double?
Yeah, she had a triple-double, but it's past midnight, so I don't care. In all seriousness, you celebrate it. It's awesome that she messed around and got a triple-double. It was a good day. Ice Cube reference. But, it was a situation where she just didn't have a triple-double. You look at the other stats, she completely filled that stat sheet against a good opponent, that played really hard against us. So that was probably the best game I've seen her play, complete game. And you don't have many triple-doubles. You're lucky if you have one every other year from your players. And I think we're going to see a few more out of Meg before it's all said and done. Appreciate you all for supporting women's basketball. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next Saturday.